All right, great evening, great evening, great evening. My name is Deepo Adesina, and I want to take this time to welcome everyone to the call for joining us on our very first webinar for the online series of the Entrepreneurs Insight series, where we're kicking it off by having different speakers and entrepreneurs who are experts in their industries talking about different aspects on how you can build your business. So ranging from branding to marketing, strategizing, and so on. Now, in addition to that, we also will also be having speakers who are going to be talking about different areas of investing. So if you're interested in increasing or expanding your investment portfolio, this is the place to be on a bi-weekly basis when we kick off with different speakers. Now, today I'm very excited to have a very good friend of mine who is a real estate mogul in West Africa, more importantly, in a place called Nigeria, which is known to be the largest, largest nation in West Africa. She's going to be talking to us today about real estate, but more importantly, a specific area and why you need to key into buying properties in what is going to be, or what is known to be, the largest city in West Africa, which is Lagos, Nigeria. So trust me, if you're watching this right now, or if you're online, you want to make sure you have a pen and paper handy, you're taking notes, because she's going to be dropping some jewels as it relates to how you can position yourself to invest in buying properties in Lagos State, Nigeria. And I'm super pumped. When I first actually saw the presentation, I was super excited just to know that this type of opportunity is presented itself at this point in time. Now, there are two types of people. There are those who actually sit back and wait for opportunities, and then there are those who go about pursuing opportunities. Right now, you are in a position where opportunities are being presented to you. So you want to make sure that you're taking the necessary action to seize this opportunity. So with that being said, I would like to actually turn it over to my good friend, Mokbelola Kolalawal, and she does what she do best. Mokbe, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, fantastic. Well, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Deepo, for having me. I'm so excited, and I would like to appreciate everyone that has joined in on this webinar so far. I'm very positive that it's going to be totally worth your while, and just stay tuned, and it's going to be very educative and interesting. So we'll just cut the chase and get straight to it, but I would like to quickly introduce myself before I go straight into the presentation proper. So my name is Mukwilola Kolalawal, and I'm a real estate professional with over a decade of experience in the real estate industry. My experience cuts across all aspects of the real estate profession, from sales to valuation to property management, facilities management, and management of properties both locally and internationally. I started out my career at Estate Links Limited, a firm of international real estate professionals, after which I moved to the Silverbird Group and headed the leasing department across the malls before I moved to found Motherville Realties Plus. So I'm currently the managing director of Motherville Realties Plus. So Motherville Realties Plus is basically a real estate advisory and marketing firm with a global vision to reach the world. And we basically guide you through the process of a successful property acquisition. Now, I know that when a lot of people hear property investments in Nigeria, they are kind of skeptical. I understand that a lot of people have gotten their fingers burnt and all of that. But I tell you that's largely due to ignorance. A lot of people do not even know the right questions to ask. They don't even know what documents they should have, and some of that stuff's like that. So that's one of the reasons I'm currently in the US, to see some old clients and also to educate people as much as possible on what they should look out for when investing in Nigeria. So real estate, I mean, why real estate? Why do we choose real estate? There are so many investment options out there that you could choose from, but we choose real estate because it's the basis, it's the bedrock of all forms of other investment. I mean, the so-called stocks and shares, mutual funds, and all of those things. None of those things could actually exist without real estate. Real estate is like the silent partner of every business, of every investment that you could ever have or ever own. And it's the most solid and the most secure. I love this quote. It says, landlords grow rich in their sleep without working, risking, or economizing. There's this other one that says, every person who invests in well-selected real estate in a growing section of a prosperous community adopts the surest and safest method of becoming independent, for real estate is the basis of wealth. Now, opportunities, like they say, rarely have road signs on them. Opportunities rarely have signages saying, oh, I'm an opportunity. You're going to have to spot them in the midst of so many other things you're having, going through and all of that. So take a look at this. Right now, Nigeria has a housing deficit of 17 million units. This is statistics from a recent research that was done by the National Bureau of Statistics. And just by it, you can see that the stakeholders, both public and private developers, deliver only about 100,000 units. 100,000 units vis-a-vis 17 million housing deficits. Now, there's a huge gap. And obviously, going at this pace, we're never going to be able to solve the housing problem and the housing deficit if we continue at this pace. So this is a huge gap, and is also a huge opportunity for investors to come into the market and bridge the gap. Also, Lagos, this is based on the United Nations World Urbanization Study, which says that Lagos is set to be the 9th largest city in the world by 2030. Now, these statistics are not just, just take a look at the figures, and, because population always heaps the gains for property values and all of that, that wherever you have people, they need places to live, they need to eat, they need to work, their children need to go to school, they need to shop and all of that. So wherever you find people, it's a good place to invest in real estate. So spot the opportunity in Nigeria and in Lagos. I already talked about this, that population heaps real estate gain. So we'll just get straight to the options that you have. So there are different entry points into the real estate investment market in Nigeria. And the easiest one is what we call land banking. So there's land banking, there's buying off plan, there's buying to let, and there's property management. I'm going to delve into them one after the other. So land banking, this is basically buying land and holding what you have, for a couple of years. Some call it land speculation. Somebody said the safest place to bank your money is in land, not actually in the bank, because land is an appreciating asset. Even when buildings depreciate and all of that, the land beneath the building continues to appreciate. So it's the easiest entry point, and it's low maintenance. You can buy land and hold it for 2-3 years without necessarily building on it. So you are not spending cost on maintenance and all of that. Somebody said, find out where the people are going and buy the land before they get there. So you see, I talked about Lagos being the largest city by 2030 and urbanization and all of that. Because urbanization is a growing trend across the world, Nigeria is not an exception. What happens when you have rural urban is, so those places that you thought were rural areas, were villages and all of that, those places begin to open up because there's a lot of congestion at the center. So the outskirts begin to open up and new cities begin to emerge. So these are fantastic places to key in and invest because the prices are low and you can buy and hold for as long as you want, because there's no pressure to develop, because the area is pretty much just developing. So land banking is a fantastic entry point. And of course, you've heard about the saying that there are 3 passwords in real estate, and your guess is as good as mine. One is location, the second password, location, and the third is location. Now, this is not cliche. When you're investing in real estate, one of the major things you want to consider is the location. You want to be sure that you are investing in an area that there's a high demand for property. There's a high influx of people. And not just that, there's also government projects coming up and all of those things. So location is very, very important, because you don't want to buy land or build your property in a place that you find it very difficult to rent out and all of that. So take a look at this. So there's an area that used to be known as Maroko in Lagos. And in the 80s, land value in this area was 50,000 naira per plot. As we speak today, the once called Maroko, the slum, is now known as the beautiful Lekki Phase 1. And a plot of land right now in Lekki Phase 1 sells for 100 million. I mean, that's like the least that you would find. You find land for even 120 million, and sometimes even higher, depending on the size and all of that. So imagine the difference. Imagine the returns on investment for people that's kidding. Some people visited this area then and just looked at it that, oh, it's a slum. What am I going to do with any land that I buy in this area? So you see, real estate is visionary. You need to be able to have foresight. So once you hear that, okay, there's a government project coming to an area, or there's a new road, it's talking about accessibility, or there's a new bridge coming, or there's a new access road coming, it's an opportunity to key in. It's a fantastic opportunity. I can never forget the story my dad told me, and I want to share with every form of regard for him. I mean, he has given me permission to share this severally so that people can learn from it. So sometime in the 80s, I think late 80s, he was approached by some people to invest in lands, to buy land around somewhere called Okwebi Allen in Lagos. And then he took a look at the area and said to himself, who buys land in a bush? Just a few years down the line, the Okwebi Link Bridge was constructed. Sheraton Hotel was located just around the corner, just before the Okwebi Link Bridge. And the road was done connecting to where the international airport is currently. And boom, just like that, the prices just began to skyrocket. As we speak today, I'm currently sourcing for a property for a client along the Okwebi axis. And, the budget is really low. And I'm talking of a budget for 150 million. We have not been able to find a property on Okwebi Island for this client, because the ones that are found that suits what they need and all of that go for as high as 200 or 250 million. So talking about being visionary and real estate investment, it's so key. A lot of people look at areas and they go like, oh, it's a bush, but those are once you hear that, okay, there's a major project coming up, it's a good time to invest, because by the time all of those developments come up, the prices would have gone up. So a lot of people still whine over the fact that they lost the opportunity to invest in Lekki Phase 1 at the time. But I tell people that's a waste of energy. Rather than whine and cry over what you cannot change, it's better to channel that energy into research on, okay, 10 years have gone, 20 years have gone, but another 10 years down the line, where is going to be the next Lekki Phase 1? Where is going to be the next, place that will command the attention of a lot of people? And we found out that Ibeju Lekki right now, which is popularly known as the New Lagos, ranks top real estate destination for mid-income investors. And you'll soon see why. So there are so many economic indicators right now in Ibeju Lekki. You have the Lekki Free Trade Zone, the Dangote refinery, the Fort Mainland Bridge, the deep sea port, the new airport, the Pan Atlantic University, Africa's smart city. So now take a look at all of these projects in one location. I mean, this for me, from projections, there's even a research that by 2030, the 70% of the wealth of Lagos will be generated from this axis. Because I mean, the free trade zone alone is projected that it will create about 300,000 jobs or even more. So a free trade zone basically is an area that has been earmarked for commerce, industry, tourism, with special incentives to attract foreign direct investment into the country and to enhance global competitiveness. So you see in this zone, the companies that are going to trade here, that are going to do business here, they are not going to be subjected to any form of taxes. They're going to be trading tax-free. That's why it's called the free trade zone. And not only that, there are other special incentives like waivers on licenses. So they can bring in raw materials without any import duties. They can even produce they can produce and then export the final product to even to other countries without being encumbered with export duties. So these are fantastic incentives for multinationals, and this zone is already commanding the attention of a lot of them. As we speak today, over 100 have already signed up to be in the zone, and about 20 have already started, setting up and doing business already. So you have the Aula Group, the Longreach, the Kellogg's, and so many industry Chinese companies setting up here because of all these incentives. So that's just the free trade zone alone. You have the world's largest single train refinery by the richest man in Africa, Dangote. This project is set to be ready by 2019. So by 2019, the project is going to be set and ready. They're not just going to be servicing Nigeria, they're going to be exporting oil to other countries. And the facility is expected to produce about 650,000 barrels of oil per day. So you can imagine how huge this project is. All of these things are going to need human resources. A lot of expatriates are already on ground. Some of them are already on ground, setting up and all of that. And more jobs are still going to be provided. So because that's the whole idea of setting up the area, it's going to be an independent city eventually. So jobs being created, it's a vehicle for economic growth and development. Take a look at this as well. Still in the same area we're talking about, the largest seaport in the sub-Sahara Africa, which is projected that will create about 170,000 jobs. Now, just keep looking at the figures and look at the influx of people in this area in another year or two. So, like I said, from the free trade zone, people can export their products easily because of this easy international transportation. I also mentioned the fact that there's the Africa first smart city happening in the Ibejuleki area. So apart from commerce and industry, it's also an area that the government is looking for tourism. So like when you go to Dubai and you see the Burj Khalifa, the Burj Al Arab, and major tourist areas like that, you're going to have stuff like that. Lagos has gone into partnership with Dubai to create major attractions like that still in Ibejuleki. So it's going to be a whole new smart city. The Fourth Mainland Bridge is also set to commence this year. This alone is a major driver of property values. Whenever new roads are constructed, new access roads, and this is not even just, this is going to connect Ibejuleki to the mainland. So it's going to be an alternative route for the Third Mainland Bridge and is a major sale. So like I said, it's land banking is a good entry point, and we focus here on developing areas because these areas have not gotten to their peak, so the prices are still low. You can still key in, they're still very affordable, and we have also partnered with reputable developers that afford you flexible payment plans. So you're not even burdened with, you have to pay lump sum and all of that. You can even spread payments over time. So having explained all of this, there are opportunities right now in the smart city, you should also know that wherever you find opportunities, there will also be, scammers and people that want to take advantage of the rush and all of that. So I would like to quickly touch on things you should look out for when buying land, because it's also good, is very important to be informed when dealing in property. So I talked about location already. So once you have established that, okay, the location is good, which we have already, has a lot of potential and all that, the next thing is who is selling. So in areas like this, you have the option of buying directly from the indigents, the families, or buying from property development companies that have gone ahead to buy from the families and now are now putting infrastructure in place and now selling in bits, like in plots and all of that. So I usually advise people that if you're not looking to buy like a large expanse in acres or hectares, you just want to buy a plot, 2 plots and all of that, it's better to deal with property development companies, because if you just buy land in a developing area in isolation, you're not ready to do anything with it, it's not too ideal, because there's a lot of temptation for the family to resell. That's when you hear about omoniles, the fear of a lot of people. Oh, how about omoniles? This is when you buy directly. But when you buy from the property development companies that are of course reliable and all of that, you do not stand this risk. So it's good to know who is selling, who you are buying from, and we have partnered with reputable developers. It's also important to know title documents you should have. Like I said, when you're talking about property, real estate, it's different from buying any other kind of commodity, because you see, it's immovable. So what actually transpires is an exchange of rights, which are, expressed via documents. So it's important that you pay attention to documents. I will still explain this further. Then you should also know your budget and associated costs. So when you buy a plot of land, you should know that there are costs associated with securing a title to that property. So it's not just buying land, there are other costs involved with getting your title and all of that. So you should always try as much as possible deal with a real estate professional. So a lot of stories that I've heard of Nigerians in diaspora, the story usually goes like, oh, I sent money to my brother, I sent to my best friend and all of that. The truth is that those people might actually, not be dubious or might not have set out to dupe you or stuff like that, but they might be as ignorant as you are. They might not even know what to look out for, what questions to ask, because if you are not asking the right questions, you can't get the right answer. So I mean, it's better to deal with a professional. So like I said earlier, property acquisition is an exchange of rights. So you want to buy a phone or a car, for instance, you get into a phone store or a car shop, you pay for your phone or your car, you take it home or you drive it home. When it comes to property, you pay for your property, you don't move it from point A to point B. What transpires is an exchange of rights. What you get is title document. So I'm going to explain briefly. I'm not going to delve too much into the professional jargons and all of that. I'm going to try to explain this as simply as possible. So you should know about the survey plan. So what a survey plan is basically is a survey plan shows you the boundary of your land. It shows you the size. It shows you your coordinates. So like I always tell people, no two properties are alike. Every land that you buy has, every point on the surface of the earth has unique coordinates. They are like unique fingerprints. No two are alike. This is the technology behind the GPS and all of that. So you have unique coordinates for every property you buy. This will be indicated on your survey, and you also have your name on it, the size, the boundary, and all of that. So the survey plan is not really a title document, but it's one of the accompanying documents you should have when you buy land. The next thing is excision and gazette. This is an important title for this area we're talking about. So you see, based on the Land Use Decree of 1978, which vested all lands in the state governor. So the state governor holds all land in every state in trust for the citizenry. But of course, the governor understands that indigents have a right to the place of their birth. So at different times, based on applications submitted, the governor seeds out some portions that are not earmarked for public purpose, public uses. So for instance, at the Bejuleki, there's a master plan. So some areas have been earmarked for roads. So there's going to be an expansion. It's going to be a 12-lane road. There's going to be the free trade zone and all of those areas are already marked out for commerce, for tourists, for industry. So those areas that are not marked out for any public use yet are eventually ceded to the community, and these are the lands that are free from government encumbrance, and the indigenes can decide to sell or do with the land as they please. So these are the safest to buy, and it means it's ceded back, it's excised back to the community, so it's free from government encumbrance. So when the land is excised, it has no encumbrance at all from the government. The easiest way to understand the excision and the gazette is through the illustration of, okay, so you get married, you have your marriage certificate, and you decide to publish a change of name in the newspaper for the ladies, So when the different portions of lands have been excised at different times, usually they collate and publish, sorry about that, in an official gazette. So that's what that title is about. So the next one is the C of O, which a lot of people are familiar with. So a lot of people ask, oh, the first thing is, does the land have C of O? So C of O is a good title, but it's not the only title to land. And what C of O is basically is a lease from the government for 99 years. So like I said, the governor owns the lands in trust. So the C of O is a certificate that leases the land to you for 99 years. So eventually, what I foresee is at the end of 99 years, there will be a renewal or some form of renewal, because you see the decree came into being in 1978 and none of these lands have gone past 99 years. And there can only be one C of O on a particular plot. So once there's a C of O, there cannot be another. So as the property passes hands from one hand to another, it's a deed of assignment that establishes that there's a transference of title. So a deed of assignment is an agreement between a seller and a buyer, which could be on an excision or on a C of O. Then the next thing is the governor's consent. So after your deed of assignment, you have purchased land, you can go perfect and get the governor to consent on the transaction. The other thing that is important is the receipt and the contract of sale. So once you pay for a property, you should always get your receipt. And the contract of sale is not a must, but it usually comes to play a lot here because it establishes the relationship that is an ongoing transaction, especially when you are not done making payments. You are making payments in bits. So the contract of sale establishes that there's an ongoing transaction. So like I said, in developing areas like this, we have payment plans, which are very good and affords everyone the opportunity to invest. So we'll just go straight to some of the options that we have. This is Meridian Park, selling for 2 million and affords you a 20-month installment plan. So this is another one, Livewell Estate, up to 12 months payment spread. This is selling for 2.35 million on an outright purchase for a plot of land, I mean, of course, within an estate. So for some of the estates, the developers have started fencing and putting infrastructure works, like I mentioned earlier. They also have Flourish Residencies. This is selling for 5 million. You can see what the estate is looking like already with the gatehouse and the fencing and all of that. You also have Lekki Royal Garden selling for 6 million. And that's what the estate is looking like with the green area and just all of that. So I mentioned that we have different entry points. So you don't want to buy land. You don't want to do land banking. You want a building instead. I mean, you want to just do something immediately, but you don't have bulk cash to put down. So there's something we call like a developer's mortgage. It's different from what you have here in the US. So basically what this is you're basically developing together, with the property developers. So this allows you to pay a down payment of either 10%, 20%, or 30% and spread the balance of the payments over the life cycle of the project. So you are buying a property long before it is completed. And once it's complete, you can easily resell, cash out immediately, because once the building, of course, you would have gotten a price incentive, a price rebate, because you are building with the developer. Once the property is ready, you can sell off immediately, cash out, or you can decide to rent out and make significant profits. So we have different options for, like, this is Amen Estate Phase 2. So here you can spread payment for up to a year with a 20% down payment. And it's a very lovely estate. You have Diamond Estate Phase 2, where you can do an initial payment of 3% and spread payment for up to 12 months. This is what it's looking like on the site right now. Some of the projects are, or some of the houses are ready, almost ready to be delivered. This is also in Bogijet. All of these properties are around the New Lagos, around the Lekki axis that we're talking about. So this is a 2-bedroom bungalow going for 14 million. You can spread payment for up to 30 months. This is a 3-bedroom apartment. This is even way before the New Lagos area. It's still along that Lekki corridor in Aja, 3-bedroom flat for 19 million. You can do a 10% upfront and spread the balance for up to 5 years. Now, that's all for, I mean, we couldn't put all of the properties that we have on the slides, but before we round up, I would tell you where you can have access to more of our listings. So we have the option of buying to let. So here, you don't want to buy land, you don't want to buy in bits. This requires you to, just buy a ready-made house and you are just good to go. So this requires a lump sum. So we have these options. This is somewhere around Chevron. It's a 3-bedroom terrace and it's beautifully finished. 33 million naira you pay, and then you can rent it out immediately for like as high as 3 million, 3.5 million per annum. This is also along the Lekki corridor this is a semi-detached house for 45 million naira. Then the last option, which I'm going to talk about, is you buy land and you develop to your taste. I mean, some people just want to, put on what they have, their dream. They have a dream home or a dream investment property in mind, and there's nothing like that already on ground. So this affords you the opportunity to put into play what your dream house is. So you basically buy land. Of course, it's always better to buy within a planned estate, and then you develop to your taste. So for this, we have several options as well. This is actually a beautiful estate, and interestingly, there's a promo going on. It's a buy one, get one free. Now, there are limited plots. It's going for 9.5 million. Also, not too far from the free trade zone, about 20 minutes or thereabouts. So you buy a plot and you get the other plot for free. This is also Amen Estate Phase 2. A very, very lovely estate, going by what was done in Phase 1. It's a very, very lovely place to build a dream home or an investment property. A plot here sells for 12 million. This is Southern Greens Estate for 20 million per plot. This is Westwood for 16 million. Orangeville for 11 million. East Amber for 11 million as well. So you can see the developers are already putting infrastructure in place. All you need to do is come in there, buy your plot, and then build to your taste. So why choose us? We are your safe bridge to the best property deals in Nigeria. We're transparent enough and very accountable, as you'll soon see from some of our testimonials. We help you to eliminate major risks. We advise you on the best options available. We put all the cards on the table, and we're pretty much here to change the narrative one home at a time. Because you see, a mentor of mine once said that wherever you see a fake, it is proof that there's real. I mean, you couldn't see a $5,000 bill, a fake $5,000 bill, because there's no real $5,000 bill. So I tell people that genuine real estate transactions go on a daily basis in Nigeria. I mean, you just need to deal with a professional and a good one at that. So these are some of our testimonials from all over the globe. This is, from Dubai, from even Lagos, Nigeria. Like I said, transparency, integrity, those are watchwords. And we've been doing this quite successfully for quite some time. These are more testimonials from the UK, from our clients in here, even in the US, and all over. So, yeah. So based on this passion to change the narrative, to help more people get it right in property investment, we have Motherville Realties has decided to partner with the Yen USA to provide a platform where people can actually get genuine property. And this also comes with some incentives like free advisory, like, we can even have, one-on-one advisory. By the time we share how you can connect with us, you can also always get free advisory based on your budget and all of that. And then you also get discount because, like I said, when it comes to property, there are associated costs. So if you buy or invest through this platform, you have the benefit of getting discounts on other statutory charges that are associated with your property purchase. Then the third incentive is that we give referral incentives. It could be cash or discount when your friends invest through the Yen USA platform. So it's a good place to partner. And if you want to connect with us, those are our social media handles. We're on Instagram, Facebook. That's our website. It's www.mothervillerealties.com. You can also view more of our listings on vision360.com. This is the largest real estate portal in the world right now. We have more of our listings there. So even if you wanted luxury properties, you want whatever you want, service plots of land, apartments, terraces, we have so many of our listings on that website. You can also reach us on phone or WhatsApp. Both numbers are on phone and WhatsApp. So if you have further questions, you need further advice, you can reach us via any of these platforms. Yeah, so I would like to leave room for questions and answers. You have any questions? People can help me take it from here.
Sure, absolutely. Can you hear me, Mope?
Yes, I can.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for such a phenomenal presentation. I think anyone who's really serious about investing will see the kind of opportunity that that is available. And one of the things that kind of came to my mind was my dad was actually talking to one of his friends, I think maybe a few weeks ago, who purchased massive land space. I'm talking maybe 20 years ago. And at that time, as he was purchasing those lands, something was telling him, he's crazy. People would say, why are you purchasing lands in places where nobody's looking? I mean, when I say purchase, I mean hundreds of acres, when we're talking about 20, 25 years ago. But when I tell you now that, of course, as you know, that the story's different, and all I can think about is the kind of opportunity that especially we in the diaspora have, to capitalize on what's about to take place in the new Lagos. So thank you so much for an excellent presentation. Now, with that being said, I'm getting ready to unmute the call. So if you're on the webinar this evening and you have any questions, you're currently muted. So I'm going to unmute you. And if you have any background noise, you can mute yourself out. And but just want to give the opportunity for those who might have questions. So you are being unmuted right now. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. Can everybody hear me? Let's see. All right, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. So do we have any questions from those who have joined us this evening for Mopelola?
I have a question here. Hey, how are you? My name is Victor. Yes, my question goes, so you talked about, the form of uh, acquisition where you can pay, via like a payment plan, and then after the property is done, if you so wish to sell that, my question is, does your agency offer not only acquisition like services, but also on the selling like services as well?
Yes, yes, yes. We do both, really. Our services cuts across estate agency, which involves buying and selling. So you want us to sell for you, we definitely can do that for you. You want us to buy, we can actually we can help you through the process. So whichever one, even if you wanted us to rent out for you, we have a team that handles that as well. So it's pretty much both ways. We can buy or resell for you.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Excellent. Hey, Victor, thank you so much for that lovely question. And I think, it's very important for us to kind of have these knowledge as to what's available to us, because I know in the past, a lot of people who would want to invest in Nigeria would think they need to come up with a lump sum. But I'm super excited myself just to understand that there's a way to kind of help people become homeowners or investors by creating a plan for people to be able to put down a certain percentage and then pay, of course, incrementally. So, which works out perfectly for those who are in diaspora. So, thank you so much, Victor, for that question. Do we have any other questions before we wrap up this evening? Okay. All right. So maybe not.
Well, yeah, this is Victor again. I thought that like someone else would ask a question, but two questions come to mind. Um, One is a lot of folks here in the diaspora. If you ask them to purchase land overseas, unlike if it's here where you can go inspect and see all those kinds of things. There may be a hesitation to not go over there and view and inspect, or that may not be feasible. So, what could you say to some people who say, "Okay, sure, this seems, I mean, like the numbers add up, but I can't, come over and inspect a lot of, properties." What could you say to those, buyers like that?
Okay, it's what the line was kind of breaking, but I think I could pick what you were saying. What you're saying is, so for if you are not able to travel down to inspect the property, right?
That is correct. Yep.
Okay, so we've had instances like that. We actually have clients that couldn't travel down to inspect their property, and what we do for clients like that is do a video. This is the media age, so we don't just do pictures. We send a video of the entire property. And for those that do not have, sometimes some clients have people in Nigeria that can inspect on their behalf. For those that do not have, we just basically send you pictures and videos. And if it's like an ongoing project, we keep sending you updates as development goes on. So if it's that at the foundation level, as at the time you bought, by the next time we are sending you videos, will be an updated version and all of that until up to the point where you are able to go and see your property. So like I said, we're very transparent. We give it to you the way it is. No hanky panky here, no sending you wrong pictures and all of that. You actually send you actual pictures. You see what is on ground when you buy. And as development goes on, we send you updates, and that's pretty much how we handle clients that have that challenge.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, like, for that. I'm appreciate it.
Mm.
And then I think the other part of the question was, uh, I guess I'll ask this one. How do you, like go about a group or an entity trying to make a purchase rather than an individual, like buyer? Is that process, like the same, or is it any different?
Okay, so if there's a group, it's usually very good. It gives them this form of discounts incentive. I mean, it's if there's like a cooperative or a club, like an investment club, we've had instances like that, and this comes with additional discounts because I mean, it's a game of numbers. So you have like a group of 50, like you want to invest together on a property. We can work out very, very, apart from the discounts you get on the yen platform based on the partnership, because it's a huge number, we give you further discounts on multiple purchases. Yeah, we do that.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And the last question that just came up is that, I know sometimes I like to leverage debt for certain, investments that may offer cash flow. So I think you talked about this earlier, but are there those investments that can be, okay, let's say if it's a property that needs to be managed so cash flow like can come through so that, that can be paid off with like the cash flow and there's a margin there. Are there opportunities that could serve that need?
I didn't get the question. Please come again.
Sure. So the question is, let's say a potential client wants to, let's say, leverage debt and take out a loan. Of, I don't know, let's say 10 million naira, and like they have their small, like payments back, but they want to invest and get immediate cash flow so that they can pay back their lenders, but then they basically take like a margin off that. So are there turnkey properties that can be purchased for immediate cash flow?
Well, like I said, it all depends on what the investment plan is. If you that like the options that we have already, the land banking, that's obviously not a cash flow project. But if you're looking at like buying a property upfront and that you can rent out immediately, then you can talk about immediate cash flow. If you're doing like a buying off plan that you're still paying for the property gradually, there are only a few instances where you can take possession maybe at a 70% payment or at a 50% payment and start generating cash flow already. A good example of that is the 3-bedroom apartment that I showed up in Aja selling for 19 million. So what the developer is offering is a 10% down, and you can spread the payment over a 5-year plan. Mm-hmm. But after the first year, the first 12 months, you can actually take possession, meaning that you can actually rent out and start generating income whilst you're still paying for the project. And of course, they have a package so basically what they do is they move you from the developer mortgage thing to a proper mortgage bank. So they have an agreement with the mortgage bank, and they have a package for Nigerians in diaspora as well. We just get the documentation across and take it from there. So yes, so for a few instances, you can generate cash flow whilst you're still trying to pay up for the property.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Enough further questions. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much for those questions. I think those are very legitimate questions that I think people in diaspora would like to know, because that's typically how real estate works here. I mean, you can, if you have your proper documentation, you can walk into a bank, get a loan, purchase a house, and then by the next month or so, start generating cash flow, as Victor said. So, but I think to ask one question as a follow-up to what Victor asked, in the event that a person can't come to Nigeria, you guys are sending videos. Now, is there a means or channel to get the proper documentation to the investors in diaspora to prove that, hey, I own this, this project?
Sure. That, in fact, like I said, we emphasize a lot on title document because, like I said earlier, property acquisition is basically an exchange of rights that are expressed through title. So we are very particular about documents. So the first thing is once payment is made, we immediately send you soft copies of your documents, and within a week or two of your purchase, we actually deliver your documents to your doorstep here. So
Awesome.
you get your documents, you get your documents whether or
Wow.
not you are able to come down. Yes, you get your documents. Our clients in the US and they've all gotten their documents. So, I mean,
That's lovely.
we ensure that we ensure that.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, definitely thank you so much for the time, man. I know you flew in from Nigeria to have vacation and also schedule different meetings. And
Sure.
I'm very grateful for you taking the time out to do this presentation for us. And if you're listening to this audio, to this webinar, whether now or in the future on the recorded version, the partnership that we have established with Motive is a phenomenal one. You know, based on their presentation, the incentives is not what's available to the general public. So being a member of Yen or affiliated with Yen definitely comes with its perks. So if you're interested in, any one of the investment options that Mopalola presented, feel free to reach out to her or to her company on their social media platform, or reach out to us as well, and we'll be able to, get the ball rolling for you. So with that being said, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and stay tuned for our next episode of the Entrepreneurs Insight series, which will be in another week or so. Thank you and have a blessed evening.